pieces they capture that are too big for them. This is biontergasy, two creatures living and working together, yet each capable of existing alone. Now, this same crustacean has a parasite living under its shell, a degenerated form of a snail that has lost all powers of movement. A true parasite that takes food from its host body and gives nothing in return. Inside this snail's gut there's a protozoa that lives off the snail's ingested food. Yet this little organism is not a parasite, as you might think at first, but a symbiote. It takes food from the snail, but at the same time it secretes a chemical that aids in the snail's digestion of the food. Do you get the picture? All these life forms exist in a complicated interdependence. Brian frowned in concentration, sipping at the drink. It's making some kind of sense now. Symbiosis, parasitism, and all the rest are just ways of describing variations of the same basic process of living together. And there is probably a grading and shading between some of these that makes the exact relationship hard to define. Precisely. Existence is so difficult on this world that the competing forms have almost died out. There are still a few left, preying off the others. It was the cooperating and interdependent life forms that really won out in the race for survival. I say life forms with intent. The creatures here are mostly a mixture of plant and animal, like the lichens you have elsewhere. The Dissens have a creature they call a vade that they use for water when traveling. It has rudimentary powers of motion from its animal part, yet uses photosynthesis and stores water like a plant. When the Dissens drink from it, the thing taps their bloodstreams for food elements. I know, Brian said wryly. I drank from one. You can see my scars. I'm beginning to comprehend now how the Dissens fit into the physical pattern of their world, and I realize it must have all kinds of psychological effects on them. Do you think this has any effect on their social organization? An important one. But maybe I'm making too many suppositions now. Perhaps your researchers upstairs can tell you better. After all, this is their field. Brian had studied the reports on the social setup and not one word of them made sense. They were a solid maze of unknown symbols and cryptic charts. Please continue, Doctor, he insisted. The societic reports are valueless so far. There are factors missing. You're the only one I've talked to so far who can give me any intelligent reports or answers. All right then, be it on your own head. The way I see it, you've got no society here at all, just a bunch of rugged individualists, each one for himself, getting nourishment from the other life forms of the planet. If they have a society, it's oriented towards the rest of the planetary life, instead of towards other human beings. Perhaps that's why your figures don't make sense. They're set up for human societies. In their relations with each other, these people are completely different. What about the Magter, the upper class types who build castles and are causing all the trouble? I have no explanation, Dr. Steen admitted. My theories hold water and seem logical enough up to this point. But the Magter are the exception, and I have no idea why. They're completely different from the rest of the Dissens. Argumentative, bloodthirsty, looking for planetary conquest instead of peace. They aren't rulers, not in the real sense. They hold power because nobody else wants it. They grant mining concessions to off-worlders because they're the only ones with a sense of property. Perhaps I'm going out on a limb, but if you can find out why they are so different, you may be onto the clue to our difficulties. For the first time since his arrival, Brian began to feel a touch of enthusiasm. Plus a sense of the remote possibility that there might even be a solution to the deadly problem. He drained his glass and stood up. I hope you'll wake your patient early, Doctor. You might be as interested in talking to her as I am. If what you told me is true, she could well be our key to the answer. She is Professor Leah Moore's, and she's just out of Earth with degrees in exobiology and anthropology, and has a head stuffed with vital facts. Wonderful, said Steen. I shall take care of the head, not only because it is so pretty, but because of the knowledge. Though we totter on the edge of atomic destruction, I have a strange feeling of optimism for the first time since I landed on this planet. End of chapter 8.